Countdown. Well, hey guys, welcome back to Midwest Whitetail. It's May 23rd, and Caleb and I have had a productive day so far. We've put up a camera. That's the first camera of the year that we put out for half and half. And right now we're standing in what we call the train plot. This is actually the clover plot that we were talking about 2 weeks ago, where we came in, burned, frost seeded, and we're very happy with the results. As you can probably see behind me, the grass did take it over in most parts of the plot, but right now, the portion that I'm standing in, this is actually what the entire plot looks like. That being said, we do need to come in here and spray this. We're gonna try to do that as soon as possible. Right now, there is a lot of rain in the forecast, so unfortunately we can't do that. As you saw on the walk in, the creek and everything is just really high. We've had a ton of rain. So we're gonna head on out of here, get to the river farm. We're gonna head to the big and beastie plot there that Caleb planted last year, and we're gonna run you guys through what improvements we're gonna make there to make it a better spot for calling. That was definitely, after 1 year of hunting it, one of the things that Caleb identified as a need. But while we're on our way over there, we're gonna throw you guys to the hunt from 2016 that Caleb and I had, where I killed a big white 8-pointer. It was one of the best hunts that I've ever been on, most fun. And we'll join you guys back in the food plot once that's finished up.
Well, it's the morning of November 12th, and Caleb and I are finally set up in the tree. The sun's just coming up, so we're back in that same spot we were in yesterday evening after that big 8-point again. And we're going to keep this interview short and sweet just because we think he's bedded close and he can show up at any point. So, beautiful morning, hard frost. Can't wait to see what happens. Deer should start moving soon.
I'm pretty sure it's a shooter. I think it's actually the big 8. It's coming hard right here. Oh, it's a shooter. Oh yeah, that's big 8. That's the big 8. Yeah, that's him. I'm on him.
Right.
I know. Oh, dude.
He's down?
He's down. He's
Thank
so
you
nice,
much.
isn't he?
Hey, thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey. Bus, good buddies right there, man. Couldn't do it without him.
Well, it's 8 o'clock, and we did a rattling sequence about 5 minutes ago. Didn't see anything. And then Caleb's like, dude, I think that's him over there. I think that's him down the draw. And he rattled again. And I started grunting away, and that buck just came in on the string. That's the same as the buck we were in here after. Put a shot on him at 20 yards, and he's down right over there, 50 yards away. So I can't stop shaking. It's amazing when a plan comes together. That's why we do this, man. Just get to be in tree with your buddies, and it works out. So, oh man, I can't stop shaking now. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that hunt for the Big 8 just as much as we did. I know that was back in 2016, biggest deer I've ever killed, and obviously, you know, that was the beginning of when we started doing all this film stuff. That's developed into a really big passion of ours, and that brings us here today. Like I had mentioned earlier, we're over here in the River Bottom Plot, and this is the spot that Kaleb planted the Big and Beastie last season. Hunted over it all year, had a bunch of good encounters. We've introduced that a couple of times now. We thought it would be a perfect opportunity to share that hunt with the White 8 because of the calling situation that we found ourselves in. You know, we've obviously kind of gotten repetitive talking about how much we enjoy to call a deer and how successful it's been for us. But what we took away from that hunt was where that buck was and what he did to get into range for us. When he was across the field, obviously there's that big CRP field. We called to him. He had to make the decision to come all the way to us. He could not see us. The CRP was in the way. And the only way to get to us was to follow that draw. And by the time he could get where that sound was coming from, he was in bow range. So it was a really good setup. And not to say that this plot that we're standing in wasn't a good setup last year. It's just over the season, like I said, Kaleb hunted here a lot and came up with a couple of different, you know, improvements per se. And it just really goes in line with what we learned with that White 8.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like Josh was saying, in that hunt, that setup with the White 8, this is super similar. My hunt style is I like to see a lot of my surroundings, and right over my right shoulder is this oak tree, and you can see quite a bit. So I had a lot of deer that I would call to, but they'd come in halfway, because what I believe the reason being was because that these deer, these bucks, were seeing into the plot, seeing into the big ag field behind me, and they weren't seeing any deer. So the solution that Josh and I actually came up with was to use Frigid Forage's plot screen, wrapping around from the west side of the plot all the way to the base of the tree and all the way to the corner. And when I say the corner, a lot of deer funnel from this corner, actually the same corner where the night that Collins encountered the old 10 and shot over his back, most of the deer funnel from right there. So that's going to create a wall basically for all these deer that we're going to be calling in into this CRP. They're not going to be able to see into the field, and hopefully that's something that it's obviously an experiment, but I think it's definitely going to pay off here this fall.
Yeah, and just to kind of give you a generalized overview, we're going to show you on the drone shot right now. So where we access, like he had mentioned, we're going to have the plot screen coming from the north to the south. That's how we're going to get in, and that's going to wrap around the plot. There's going to be we came up with probably 15 to 20 yards wide clover strip right in front of the stand with a scrape tree, and then again, the rest of this plot's going to be planted in the Big and Beastie. I mean, this is where I think Kaleb's going to be able to kill turkey foot, and hopefully that old 10's still around. And obviously, as you watch through his hunts, this place is just kind of a wild card for, you know, big deer. He saw that really big deer out in the CRP, and I know we're both just really excited to get after these projects. So once that seed gets here, that's what you can expect from us. We've got a lot of maintenance to do on all the plots. The train plot looked really good, but we got to take care of that grass. And then we've got a lot of work to do in this spot too. So overall, just really excited. You know, this is the last off-season show for us, but you know, with the video blogs going to start kicking up, that's where you can find the progress on these plots, and hopefully it pays off for us this coming fall.
Hey guys, it's a rainy Memorial Day weekend here in Iowa, and we are wrapping up our off-season series here at Midwest Whitetail. And before we ended this series, I wanted to give you guys an update on this farm of mine. I bought this farm last year. It's right next to my office and down the road from my house. Eventually we're gonna build a house on this farm. It's 165 acres. It's a nice mixture of timber, CRP, and tillable. It historically has been in cattle pasture and hay. And last year I did a sod bust on about 45 acres and put it into beans. It was pretty wet last spring, and so we got the beans in late, but you know, I got enough food out here where I held a lot of deer through the winter. And so far this year, I've been getting a lot of projects done. We got our corn in early. I got close to 50 acres of corn in this year. It's all just starting to pop up. We just rode around and checked it all. Co-op came in and sprayed it a couple weeks ago, and it's starting to shape up and look good. Last year I put in 3 acres of Big and Beastie. And as I mentioned, this was all in cattle pasture, so there's a really heavy seed bed of grass. 2 of these food plots I had seeded down pure trophy clover in when I seeded the big and beastie down, and we're checking this one out right now. I love this little cove back here. It's mixed in the oaks. It's off the beaten path, and you can see the clover coming in. It's really thick with grass. I tried to spray it with Roundup, a light dose of Roundup to kill the grass. We'll see how it does. I'm gonna have to come back here when it dries out. It's been raining quite a bit the last 3 weeks, and mow this off and see how we can do. One of the more recent projects I've done is we came in one of the lower food plots and put in the plow down clover. And ideally I would have done that to all these food plots. The recommended way to put those in is to come in and do a light till in early spring and seed it down and walk away. And then that stuff pops up. You get weed suppression and you return some nutrients to the soil. Summer food plot, and then it's green manure, nice nitrogen for the big and beastie plots later in the fall. My particular plots, I had to do a little more work just based on how much grass was in there. So a couple weeks ago we came in, sprayed it with Roundup, killed off the grass, and then last weekend Max and I were here, we tilled it under and seeded it, and we've had rain all week and it's already starting to pop up. So I'm looking forward to how that plot turns out, and plan to be tilling that under in August or so, early August, and seeding it down to big and beastie. A couple of the primary deer I'll be looking for next year. One is called the Big 9. I haven't gotten more creative with his name yet. We actually filmed him a few times out on this food plot. This food plot butts up against the main ag field, and it's just a really neat little spot to pinch him down. We filmed him 2 or 3 times last year, and he's a great looking deer. I thought it was a 4-year-old, upper 150s, lower 160s, real framey deer. And I had him on trail camera after season ended. And he's gonna be one of the main ones that I'm looking for this summer. I've had multiple other mature bucks too. They haven't been as frequent on the farm last year, but I'm hoping with the implementation of all this food, I just continue to draw more deer in, and they stay in here. There was another really nice young 3-year-old 10 that was probably upper 140s or so that we filmed one night after camera light, or saw one night after camera light, and he also for sure made it through, and I had some pictures of him after season. So I didn't hunt out here much last year just because I didn't have any deer that I thought were mature enough or deer I wanted to target, and we had all the good deer down at the River Bottom farm. So I didn't hunt out here much, and this year that Big 9 will be a real potential target. I expect him to look like a pretty good deer this year. I still got a lot of projects to get done on this farm. Primarily over these next few weeks after it dries out, will be mowing, but it's basically a blank canvas last year, and constantly tweaking it, and I need to work on getting some sets hung. So over the next few weeks I'm going to be focusing my attention primarily down on our River Bottom farm. We have not gotten any food plots in down there. The compatibility use agreement we have down there allows 5% of food plots, and that's about 27 acres. I got a bunch of corn lined up, and then all this rain hit, and it's a wet mess. So I got my fingers crossed it dries out, we don't get more flooding this year. I guess we'll take what we get, but I do have a backup plan of switching to sorghum and beans if we have to. Anyway, we'll be bringing you that content on the video blogs this summer occasionally, just to keep you guys updated with what's going on. So I hope you guys enjoy following along, and good luck getting your projects done, and stay safe.
I'm standing in one of the food plots that I planted about probably 3 to 4 weeks ago. This is one of the wettest spots on the farm that I have food plots in. It's in a little valley, and it usually stays pretty moist in here. I chose to plant the Frigid Forage bottomland clover, and this is a clover that John selected just for these types of soils. And I'm really impressed with how this is done. I planted it with oats. In fact, let me walk through really quick what went into this food plot. First thing was, let's see, I sprayed it with the Kubota, with the sprayer that they have, a sprayer unit for the Kubota. And then I came back and spread fertilizer using the fertilizer unit, and so I was able to do this without any farm equipment. Got a good kill, got the P and K values up on the soil. Then I came back with the RTP Genesis no-till drill, and I planted the oats and the clover using that drill. So I never had to till up the soil. It looks really good. Like I said, I'm really impressed. So we'll keep an eye on this, but wanted to catch you up with where we're at now in this series. the end of the off-season series snuck up on me. I didn't realize that this was our last week. We've been having a lot of fun doing these with the throwback hunts, trying to talk about land management, deer management, hunting strategies, and now it's all wrapped up for another season. We take a break off now until about the middle of August, and that's when we come back with the regular season, the main weekly series that starts mid-August and takes us all through the hunting season. In the meantime, we'll have a lot of daily video blogs, so please check the MidwestWhitetail.com website for daily video blogs, or go to the Midwest Whitetail Daily page on YouTube, and you can find those as we start to find some of the bucks that we're going to be hunting, do some more projects on the places that we hunt and so forth. We'll take you along during the rest of the off season on these daily video blogs. And finally, last but not least, is Chasing November Season 5, and that will release August 1st. It'll release right on the MidwestWhitetail.com website and on the Midwest Whitetail YouTube page. So please keep that one in mind too. That's been really popular for us over the years. I know that Josh Sparks has been working really hard on that, so it should be a lot of fun to go back and look at the 2019 season using the lens of storytelling that we use in this Chasing November series. All right, so that's it for the 2020 off-season series. We'll see you right back here again in the middle of August for the next episode of Midwest Whitetail, and remember to always dream big.